All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down PFL Road to Dubai. This card is on Saturday. We don't have any UFC this week, but we have plenty of regionals. We have PFL on Saturday. We have ONE FC. I think that's Friday morning. There's an LFA card, I believe, also on Friday. There's a KSW card, I believe, on Saturday. So a ton of regionals. This is going to be the only regional betting breakdown I'm going to do this week. I just don't have the time to do all of those cards that I just listed, but I'll be looking at them and I might have bets for them. So watch out for my bets, breakdowns, notes, predictions. It's all on my free Discord, the Couch Warrior Podcast Discord. The link will be in the description of this video, and it's in the description of all of my videos. You can find the link there. It's 100% free, and that's where I put all my stuff. And we also have MMA discussions. There's 300 of us in there. So hop in, join the squad. And yeah, let's jump right into it. We've got a relatively smaller card. Now, few competitive fights, few squash matches. I don't think this is going to be a super long video. Going to try to keep it short, straight to the point. And I'm not going to have a ton of bets on this card. It's a lot of chalk, a lot of squash matches. Like I said, a lot of the totals are interesting, but the limits are very small. It's on Bet Online. I think that's like the only one. I think the main card already has totals on DraftKings, though. So hopefully throughout the week, it'll open up and maybe we can hop in on some of those spots. Now, starting us off, we've got Mostafa, Abada, Rashed, Neda versus Haider Khan. Now, Neda, he's 9-3-0. He's 5'9" with a 73-inch reach. On the other side, Haider Khan, he's going to be 8-1-0. He's 6'2", so he's going to be, let me do some math. He's going to be 5 inches taller. I don't have his reach. And look, when I saw this fight, I was not familiar with Haider. I know Neda very well because I do a lot of PFL breakdowns. I watch all the events. I do coverage whenever they come here to New York. I've seen him fight live. I was right there next to the cage. And I'm not very high on Neda, not very high on his skills. When I saw the line, when I saw this fight, I was like, okay, this guy Haider, he's 8-1. Maybe I'll finally have a spot where I can fade Neda because they've been giving him complete layups. And I don't know, man. I feel like you can't really touch this fight. Haider's decent, but his record's a little bit shiny compared to his actual skill level, in my opinion. On the feet, he's not the best striker. He's incredibly hittable. Chin is kind of up in the air, not a lot of head movement. Maybe it's going to improve. I think he's relatively young. I'm not exactly sure what his age is, but I'm pretty sure he's like 28 or something, but I could be completely wrong there. I don't like his striking at all. He's a solid grappler. That's his thing. He's a grappler. He can take people down. He can take the back. He's got solid ground and pound, but his level of competition has been very, very low. So is Neda's for the most part. But I don't know if I can trust Haider. I think he's the side at plus money. I can never lay chalk on Neda. I don't like his skill set. I don't think he's spectacular at anything. I think that he's a decent striker. I think that he hits really hard. Seems to be on a lot of juice. He's on those good supplements and vitamins. And the takedown defense, we don't have a lot of recent footage on it, but historically, like back in like 2019, it wasn't very good. He can be taken down. He can be held down. And I do think that Haider has a very clear path here. Do not strike with the man. Go for takedowns and either control him or try to take the back and get a sub. And I do think Haider can win this fight. I'm actually going to pick him to win the fight because I just don't like Neda's style at all. And if he doesn't get a KO, I don't really think that he has much else to offer. So I will pick Haider, and I am tempted on the plus money because I am picking him outright. But I just don't know if I want to do it because standing, he just doesn't have a lot of substance in the striking, and I can easily see Neda just coming out there and knocking him out clean. So I'm going to leave it alone. But overall, like, yeah, it's Haider or pass. I just not high on Neda. He's KO or bust in my opinion, and he can get a KO against most people, I think, because he does hit really, really hard, and he's not a bad striker. And maybe the takedown defense has improved because, again, there's no recent footage really on the takedown defense, but I can't make assumptions, and I'm not going to bet a minus 170 or whatever he is based on assumptions. So for me, it's Haider or pass, and we can move on. Next up, we've got John Mitchell versus Souhil Tairi. Mitchell 9-2-0. He's 29 years old. He's going to be 6 foot tall with a 75-inch reach. Tairi 7'5" He's 33. He's going to be 5'11", so he's 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be 4 years older. Don't have his reach. I'm going to be real short on this one because I don't have any interest. Mitchell is minus 700, Tairi plus 500. Initially, I was thinking to myself, maybe Tairi's worth the shot. I do know him pretty well. I bet on him against Mohamed Sefi in the PFL MENA tournament. It was the finals. I thought that maybe he can get takedowns and he'd have the cardio advantage, but he wasn't able to get the job done. And I just don't think he has much of a path here. I think Mitchell is a very talented fighter. He's a very good fighter. He had a great fight against Kashuba before he got finished. Honestly, most refs would have called it. I believe when he hurt Kashuba, I don't remember it off the top of my head exactly what it went down, but I do think that he's a much better skill for skill. He's the better fighter here. Tairi, he can maybe like throw up some subs or maybe go for some takedowns, but Mitchell's a good grappler in his own right. He's a solid striker. I think he's better everywhere. Not going to lay minus 700 on him. I just don't think that's worth it. But I also don't really have much interest on the plus 500 underdog here. So we can move on. Mitchell's going to be the pick. Next up, we've got Hadi Omar Hussaini versus Ruel Panales. Hussaini 5-1-1. He's 5'4" with a 61-inch reach. Panales on the other side, he's going to be 5'2" 5'5". He's 1 inch shorter. Taller, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. So pre-tape, I was looking at the line, Panales plus 250. I knew that I'm not crazy about Hussaini's style. So I was thinking maybe that's a decent spot because I know Hussaini's a grappler, and I know that Panales also is. He's not exactly a grappler, but that's probably what he's best at, in my opinion. He's a solid wrestler in his own right. And I've heard a lot of people this week calling him a striker. I don't really know where that's coming from because you watch him, like, what's his striking? He's got a head kick, and that's about it. He doesn't really do much else. His hands are okay. Like, I'm not even talking about his road to UFC fight against Cejudo. Like, Cejudo's just massive. So it's not a surprise that he couldn't strike with him. And he did try to grapple. He shot 5 times. He only got 1 of them. He's a solid wrestler. He can wrestle. He has decent takedown defense, but he can be taken down. I forget the opponent's name. Yeah, Muradov, right? Not a pretty record. Even now, he doesn't have a pretty record. I think he's like 3-4-0. And that fight was so weird. So the first round, Panales lands a head kick and cuts him open right away. And then after that, he doesn't really do much else. And then he just starts getting taken down, controlled, ground and pounded. And the other guy's just cooking him. And then I think it was the second or end of second or the third round, the ref calls it. I guess it was a doctor stoppage because the other guy was bleeding. And Panales gets the win. But it is not about, like, in my opinion, it's not like a win to be proud of. It was one kick that got the job done for him. And it happened so early. And then the fight got called way later. And to me, it just showed that he can be taken down. He can be controlled. He gets hit a lot on the ground. The ground and pound works. And again, on the feet, he's decent. He's going to have a reach advantage here, 6 inches, but I just don't know what he's going to do with it. His hands just aren't that good. Now, Hussaini, not that good of a striker either. It's not like he's going to be completely outstriking Panales. I guess I'll actually give the striking edge to Panales because he does have nice head kicks. He uses those kicks well. The hands are okay, but he's going to have a reach advantage for once. So maybe he can do some better work than I've seen on tape. And he is relatively young at 28. I think Hussaini's a similar age. So maybe we can expect some improvements from Panales, but I just don't really know if I want to bet him. Part of me kind of does, because, again, I'm not high on Hussaini either. But I think Hussaini has better cardio. I think that Hussaini has better offensive wrestling. I think Hussaini has better takedown defense. I think that Hussaini's not really going to get taken down here. Meanwhile, I do think that Panales is going to get taken down. Hussaini doesn't have the best control, but it's not terrible either. And he's got pretty good ground and pound. And his cardio, like I said, I think it's a little better than Panales'. So the way I see it playing out, on the feet, maybe Panales lands some head kicks. Maybe he's got some nice, decent combinations in the pocket here and there. But overall, I see Hussaini taking him down, controlling him, landing ground and pound. Maybe we get another situation where the head kick does the job for him. Either he gets a knockout, Panales, or he hurts him again and we get a doctor stoppage. Probably not. But I have to go with Hussaini here in terms of a pick. I don't hate Panales as an underdog play, but I'm not super crazy about it either. Next up, we've got Mirafzal Akhmatov versus Mike Thompson. Mirafzal, he's 7-0-1, 31 years old, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Thompson, 7-2-0. He's don't have his age. He's 6 foot tall, so he's going to be 2 inches taller. And we don't have his reach either. In terms of this fight, I think the best bet is playing the under 1.5. It's like minus 170. It got steamed really, really hard. It was like minus 130 at some point. I think it was even better at one point. I think it's a great spot for the under because Akhmetov, he hits like a train. He's got solid opportunistic submissions. And Thompson, he's just a brawler. Thompson kind of reminds me of like Clay Collard, like the boxing style. He's got solid hands. He's relatively fast and he just goes for it. Really high output, mixes it up. He'll go to the body. He's a solid striker, but he can be taken down. He's incredibly hittable. He doesn't have much head movement. He can be submitted. And the way I see it going, I think that Akhmatov probably covers that minus 400. I do think that he can take him down if he needs to. I think that he can do a club and sub, maybe rip another guillotine like his last fight. I think he can knock out Thompson standing, but the under also will cover you if Thompson's able to catch him because Thompson's a solid striker. He's not bad. And in terms of like the money line, I don't know about playing Akhmatov at like minus 500 because look, he probably should win. He probably should run through Thompson. I think he's going to knock him out in the first round, maybe in the second. Maybe he submits him, like I said. But I'm watching him, and honestly, as fights get extended, Akhmatov is not impressive, in my opinion. His wrestling is decent. It's pretty good. And Thompson's not the best defensive grappler, and he hasn't been super tested there. So I do think Akhmatov can get those takedowns, but I'm just not super impressed by him. And I think he slows down a little bit. And Thompson, I feel like this guy could go. And if Akhmatov doesn't get him out early, I could see Thompson putting it on him. I could see him putting it on him, and I wouldn't be crazy shocked by an upset. So if I do end up with any chalky parlays, I doubt it. But if I do, Akhmatov won't be on them just because I think I do see a way that he can lose, and I'm not super duper high on him, even though he has that shiny record and the scary pictures and all of that, the aura. I'm not crazy about it. I don't know if I have live betting for PFL. I don't know if DraftKings allows you to do it. I don't think BetOnline does for PFL. I have to double check. But Thompson as a live bet could be something. If he survives the first round against Akhtamov, I think that he could kind of make Akhtamov wilt. So we'll see. Maybe that's something I'll do. I'll probably just stay away. If the under comes back in a little bit and the limits get higher, maybe I'll hop on the under. But other than that, it's a pass. But I will pick Akhtamov to win. Next up, we've got Tarek Suleiman versus Ahmed Sami. Suleiman, he's 13-8 and 0-35. He's 6 foot tall, don't have the reach. Sami, 11-4 and 0. He's 30, so he's 5 years younger, and he's also 6 feet tall. I don't like this fight. I'm not going to bet on it, I don't think, unless the line really blows out. Sometimes that happens with PFL. People will start to parlay now that domestics are opening up lines, and maybe I'll get a good line on Tarek and I can hop in, but it's probably a pass. Both guys to me are just kind of meh. Their records are okay. Sami has probably the better wins on his record, but neither of them have like super impressive wins for the most part. Sami has like a win over Omar Dafrawi, which is a good win, but Dafrawi also didn't have a good run in the beginning of his career, and he's really turned it around. So I don't know if it would go the same way. On the feet, like neither guy is very good. Tarek, really hittable, seems to slow down quite a bit, but Sami also seems to slow down quite a bit, and his Tarek's striking isn't very good. Sami's is maybe a little bit better, but not great either. Both guys are going for a decent amount of takedowns. I think Tarek low-key might be a better offensive grappler. I think maybe he can take the back. He did a good job doing that against who was it? KB Bueller. He taking the back before he got the DQ win. I believe that's what it was. And yeah, I'm not crazy about it. If the line blows out, maybe I'll hop on Tarek for like a half unit or something because I could see him getting takedowns. I could see him taking the back, but I'm not crazy about it because I think Sami's cardio is better. I think on the feet, Sami's a little bit better. He's not 35, which is solid. And I'm not crazy about the fight. As a pick, I'll go with Sami just because I think he's a little bit better. He has his wins are a little bit better. But the line seems a bit wide to me already. Plus 180 on Suleiman isn't bad at all. And I could see myself hopping on if they give me like plus 225 or greater. So we'll see. I'll pick Sami with very little confidence, though. Next up, we've got Renat Khavalov versus Cleiver Fernandes. Khavalov, he's 8-0 undefeated. He's going to be 26 years old. And he's 5'7". We don't have the reach here. Fernandes 9-1-0. He's going to be 29, so he's 3 years older. He's going to be the same height at 5'7". And look, I think Khavalov is the rightful favorite. I think he's probably going to win. He's a very talented fighter. He's very young, training out of the Habib camp. He did the whole call out of Marab for some strange reason. I mean, you're in the PFL, barely on the main card, 8-0, and you're calling out one of the greatest bantamweights to ever do it, who just beat 18-0 Umar. But good for him for calling his shots, whatever, for whatever reason. Look, he's a really good wrestler. He's got solid submission grappling. He's got good cardio. He's got good striking. And he's faced decent competition. Nothing super impressive. Most of his competition is not great, but he has some decent wins. And then Cleiver on the other side, honestly, he's pretty good too. Against most other guys, he would not be plus 800, plus 900, whatever it is. I don't think he's a terrible underdog shot, honestly. But at the same time, I'm not super interested just because Khavalov seems to have better cardio. Cleiver seems to slow down a little bit. Cleiver has pretty solid takedown defense from what I've seen. He probably can be taken down, though, by someone like Khavalov. I think Khavalov will get the takedowns. On the feet, I don't think Renat Khavalov is that much better than Cleiver. I think that it's going to be decently close. I actually kind of like the striking of Cleiver. Nice jab, and he works off of it pretty well. But overall, Renat is probably a better striker. He's a better grappler. He's got better cardio. I think his wins are a little bit better. So I got to pick him to win. I don't like the line at all. Minus 1,700. It won't do anything for you or your parlays. But I don't really want to bet Cleiver either. You know, PFL tends to have a ton of upsets, but I don't know if this is going to be one of them. I just think he's going to get taken down a lot. And ultimately, I think Renat's going to win. I honestly kind of lean towards a decision. I think Cleiver's pretty tough. And the one spot that I do like here is the over 1.5. It's like minus 130 right now. Limits aren't that great, but it's not bad. I already put down 1.3 units to win one. I haven't tracked it because the limits are still pretty low. I'm going to wait for them to open up. And if the line's still available, I'll tip it publicly. But for now, I'll just let you guys know that's what I'm on. I like that over. I don't think Renat's going to run through Cleiver. I think Cleiver's actually pretty good in his own right. And we can move on. Next up, we've got Ibragimov versus Kenny Mokhnoana. Ibragimov, he's 8-0 undefeated. He's going to be 20 years old only, 5'8" with a 66-inch reach. Mokhnoana, 5-1-0. He's 28, so he's going to be 8 years older. He's going to be 4 inches taller, and he's going to have a 7-inch reach advantage. I like Ibragimov here, but the line does seem a little bit crazy. Like, Mokhnoana is pretty good. He's extremely athletic. He's going to be huge. I saw the face-offs. He's a lot bigger than Ibragimov. He's honestly a solid striker. In that range, I feel like he can land on Ibragimov, especially with that reach differential. I think that his combinations are solid. He seems to be green in the striking, but he's also been out for a while since that Josh O'Connor loss. And honestly, at the end of the day, like, I don't see why Ibragimov can't do what O'Connor did, and maybe even better. O'Connor's a very good fighter, but so is Ibragimov. O'Connor was able to get the takedowns most of the time. I didn't think Mokhnoana's takedown defense looked that terrible, but he wasn't really able to stuff most of it. He took the back at one point, which was pretty nice. He has a very good back take. His submission grappling is very good, but he can also give up his own back. I've seen he got his back taken by O'Connor. So ultimately, like, on the feet, I think it's actually decently close, at least at range. If Ibragimov closes the distance, he'll probably be a little bit better, but I don't think he's like a phenomenal striker yet. He's 20 years old still. He's clearly working on it. Seems to come from a wrestling grappling base, but like I said, probably going to be relatively close on the feet. And honestly, Mokhnoana is going to be more live for a knockout, I think. I think he hits harder, more athletic. So close on the feet, but at the end of the day, Ibragimov's probably going to get those takedowns, probably going to get the control. I think Ibragimov wins by decision. I think he's a little bit of an overrated finisher. I think I played the over against Nacho Campos when he fought him, because the way I saw it, like, from what I've seen, Ibragimov is not finishing decent opponents. He's only finishing the guys who aren't any good. And then the decent opponents, he usually just outgrapples them and takes them to a decision. I think that Mokhnoana is decent. I expect some improvements considering he's been out almost 2 full years at this point. So I do think that Ibragimov's the side, but in terms of a bet, I don't know. Like, I guess I wouldn't hate Ibragimov in a parlay because I think he just gets it done, but I would be a little bit worried because I think Mokhnoana is pretty good in his own right. He's just also very green, and he hasn't fought the best competition. I like the over 1.5 also. For this card, they opened up most of the totals at over 1.5. It's minus 260, but I don't hate it as a parlay piece. I think right now the parlay limits are like $100 on Bet Online, which is horrible. So I'm not doing anything with it right now, but I can see myself parlaying it with something. I don't know what, but I could see myself parlaying it with something. If they give me props, I wouldn't hate an Ibragimov decision prop. That could be something. But here in New York, DraftKings and whatever other domestics, they don't give us props for PFL for some reason. At least most of the time they don't. Maybe now they're going to offer it. Bet Online does, but the limits are probably going to be crap. They're usually $100 limits to win $100 limits. Anyways, we can move on. Ibragimov is the pick, but I think Mokhnoana is being a little bit overlooked. Next up, we've got probably one of the more competitive fights on the card. Nathan Kelly versus Ahmed Magomedov. Kelly 11-2-0. He's 27, 5'8" with a 68-inch reach. On the other side, Magomedov 10-1-0, 28 years old, so he's 1 year older. 5'8". He's the same height, and he's gonna have the same reach as well. We've got a lot of Russia versus Ireland matchups on this card, and this is another one. It's a tough fight for me because I don't really know what Kelly's takedown defense looks like against higher level competition or high level grapplers, someone like Magomedov. He does come out of Habib's camp. I know they're down a little bit right now because of the Umar loss, but at the end of the day, they're an elite camp with a lot of elite fighters there. And Magomedov is a very good wrestler. He has solid control, good ground and pound, very Habib-ish style where he'll get the takedowns against the fence, kind of be on the back, and then just ground and pound and control them there. I just don't know if it's going to work against Kelly. You know, Kelly's got, from what I've seen, Kelly seems to have good takedown defense. Got tested in the Jose Sanchez fight, and he was able to stuff pretty much all of them. I think he got taken down briefly, but he popped back up. He's a good grappler in his own right. In a lot of his fights, he's getting takedowns. He's got good jiu-jitsu, probably the better pure submission grappler out of the two of them. And on the feet, I don't really know who I give the advantage to. I feel like I like Kelly striking a little bit more. Magomedov is pretty limited. He's got a good jab, and he'll follow up on it pretty well. He's solid in the pocket, but at range, he's nothing special. I think both guys are going to be able to land some good shots. I think Kelly's output is going to be a little bit higher. I think Kelly hits a little bit harder. I think Kelly's a better finisher out of the two of them. But ultimately, right now, I don't really have reason to believe that he's going to be able to stuff Magomedov's takedowns. So I feel like Magomedov probably wins the fight. I just think he'll get the takedowns against Khavalov. Like, it's not that even that he just gassed. It's like he couldn't get the takedowns because Khavalov, he has pretty good takedown defense at this point. And then he kind of just gave up on the takedowns. He didn't really shoot much. Like in the second round, I don't think he shot at all. In the third, I think he shot like one time. And his striking is, like I said, it's relatively limited. And Khavalov is a good striker, and he's a vet, and he was just able to outwork Magomedov, and he pretty much shut him out. And Magomedov was like a minus 550 favorite. I just don't know if Kelly has the takedown defense or not to do it. So I'm going to leave it alone probably in terms of a money line at least. I'll see what the props open up at. If Magomedov by decision is something decent, I might do that. Or if the line really blows out, I wouldn't be super against like maybe like a half unit play on Kelly because I could see him getting the upset. It just really comes down to can he stuff the takedowns? Because if he can, this is going to be a close competitive fight. And if he can't, it probably won't be. So that's how I see it. Magomedov will be the pick though, and we can move on. Next up, we've got the co-main event, Vadim Nemkov versus Tim Johnson. Nemkov 18-2-0, 32 years old, 6 foot tall with the 76-inch reach. And he used to be at light heavyweight. Now he's up at heavyweight. Tim Johnson, 13-10-0. He's 39 at this point, 7 years older, going to be 3 inches taller, and he's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. Not going to waste any time here whatsoever. Nemkov's minus 2,000 for a reason. He's significantly better than Johnson. Johnson is probably pretty washed at this point. He's 39 years old. He's taken a ton of damage. He's been knocked out a ton of times. He can be taken down. Nemkov's a better striker. I think both guys do hit hard, but Nemkov's got more durability. Nemkov's got the wrestling upside. I think Nemkov's going to run through him, and that's all I got for that one. And then we got the main event, by far the best fight on the card, Usman Nurmagomedov versus Paul Hughes. Nurmagomedov 18-0, undefeated. He's 26 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. On the other side, Hughes, he's 13-1-0, 27 years old. He's going to be 1 year older. He's going to be 2 inches shorter, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So Line's pretty wide in my opinion. I thought it was wide against Shabali too, but at the end of the day, Usman got it done. And it's a similar line now. Paul Hughes like plus 405. I know people who got him at like plus 750, which is insane. I would have 100% put a half unit on that. And I'm still considering a small shot on him. I don't love fading the Daggies, especially not the Nurmagomedovs. I was very hesitant with the Merab fight this past week, this past weekend, even though I was super hyped. Merab got it done. But this isn't a bad spot to try to fade him. Usman's very good. He's a very good fighter. He's extremely high level. He's good everywhere. He's a good striker with really good kicks. The hands are decent. They could use some improvement, to be honest. Good cardio, though. Good pace. He's got good wrestling. The control's not the best, but he is a good wrestler with good submissions, too. And Hughes on the other side, like he used to be able to be taken down, but his takedown defense has always been pretty good, and it's only gotten better and better. And when he does get taken down, he's able to get back up. His get-ups are really good. He was really impressive against AJ McKee. I think he was like plus 185 there, plus 200 at one point maybe, and it was a very good performance from him. And if he can stuff the shots of Usman, he's going to be the better striker with the hands, in my opinion. Usman's got better kicks, but in terms of the hands, I think Hughes is better. I think he's a little bit faster. I think he maybe even hits a little bit harder with the hands. So if he can stuff the takedowns, and that's a big if, I do think he's live here. Ultimately, I think Usman's probably going to be able to get him down. I don't think Usman submits him because Hughes is a very good counter grappler, and I don't really think Usman knocks him out. So I do think we go to a decision. I'll be curious to see what the props look like. I doubt that there's anything really super playable, but I do think that Hughes is live for the upset. I don't hate the plus 400 number. I'm going to think about it. Knowing myself, I'll probably end up with like a quarter unit on him, but I'm hoping the line blows out again. But we'll see, because now the market is low on the Nurmagomedovs, at least relatively low. He's still minus 400 or whatever it is, or minus 600. But I just, I'm not super confident on the Hughes spot here, but I'm not super confident on the heavy favorite either with Usman. So it's Usman for me, but on the betting line, I think it's dog or pass. Hughes is really good. Both guys are really, really good. And this is one of the best fights you can make at lightweight or any division outside of the UFC. And I really hope eventually both of these guys do end up in the UFC. I don't know if they will, but I hope they do, because Usman's a stud and Hughes is a stud too. It's going to be a sick fight. And like I said, in the striking, I like the kicks of Usman better. I like the hands of Hughes better. I think Hughes low-key hits a little harder. I think Usman's a much better offensive wrestler, but I think he's going to have a hard time holding Hughes down and a hard time taking him down. And maybe that drains the gas tank. So we'll see. But Usman does seem to have really good cardio, and so does Hughes. And both of them have gone 5 rounds before. So Usman's a pick, but once again, it's dog or pass. And that's it, guys. That's PFL Road to Dubai. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time. Good luck this weekend if you got any bets.